Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Could you please
Speak up, speak up.
could you please expand on the concept? We heard recently that all choices are experienced holographically.
Well, your physical reality is just a projection. Are you talking about the idea of the template level reality, where
Um,
you lay out the blueprint of what you will experience in physical reality first?
No, the nature of my question is there is one version of me in this room, and there is another one which is not in this room. And
You're talking about parallel realities.
Yes.
All right. Well, there's an infinite number of parallel versions of you.
I understand when it is like a number of stills.
Yes.
But from my focus, I see it as a linear progression.
Of course.
So there should be another focus that sees a different linear progression,
Yes.
a different version of
And
me.
that's what creates the different parallel reality experience.
I understand, but now I raise my right arm, but
Yes.
another version of me raises my left arm.
Yes.
So,
actually, to be more accurate, another version raises his left arm,
yes,
not
his.
yours.
Right. So, is this a different me with
Yes.
a different soul, a different higher
Yes.
mind,
Yes.
and different ego structure?
Yes.
Okay.
It may be the same oversoul or an oversoul
No,
of an oversoul,
okay.
but in terms of the soul level, the higher mind level, the physical personality level, it is a completely different person.
I see. So if I take another person that took exactly same path to this microphone as me,
Yes,
but
it won't be exactly the same. It can never be exactly the same. It may be so similar you can't tell that it's
Okay.
different, but it can never be exactly the same, because if it is exactly the same, then it's your path
I see.
and it's the one you're experiencing.
I see. So basically, it's hard to distinguish between two, but they're different.
Yes, it can be very difficult, although, of course, there are versions that are very easy to tell apart because they're very different.
I understand, but my question is about my example of right and left arm.
Yes.
So one version of me came with a right arm up, and the other one, which was very similar,
Yes.
came with a left.
Yes. And we, another version of us, are having a
I see,
conversation with
yes.
that version of you right now, and they're using exactly the opposite example
Yes. Okay.
and wondering if you exist.
I see. But again, the soul, the two different versions, those two different versions, they have different souls.
Yes, because a soul is an individuated expression from the oversoul that
oversoul.
then
Okay.
gives rise to the idea of the higher mind and the physical personality for the purpose of having a specific experience. It's a specific focus. A soul is an individuated specific focus.
I see. Okay, that makes sense.
Yes, I know. That's why I said it.
No, I appreciate you clarified it.
Oh, all right. Thank you for allowing the clarification to occur within your consciousness.
Mhm.
And also, thank you for allowing the clarification to occur. Oh, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you. And all the different versions and different parallel realities asking similar questions.
I see. But then if I look at the spectrum of versions of me, then there are versions that are very close, and then there are versions that are not very similar.
Correct.
Like, how far does it go? Is there a version of me that is like a kangaroo?
In a way that can happen, but then it's not really a version of you, is it?
Yeah. So it's like a certain spectrum where I retain my
Where you retain your sense of your identity as the
identity, I
you
see.
think yourself to
Okay.
be, yes. But then there is the crossing of a threshold where the overall consciousness is expressing itself so differently that you may no longer relate to it as anything having to do with what you think of as yourself. Even though, of course, all consciousness is made out of the same one consciousness. And on that level, everything is an expression of the same one thing.
Okay, I see.
But we're talking about different levels here.
Mm-hmm. Now, the exchange of information between different versions of me. So
yes.
Let's say the other one didn't take this trip, and I'm here.
Yes.
Can I draw on that experience?
You always do. It's
I do.
automatic.
Okay.
You don't always have to know that you're drawing on it. In a sense, you could say that the two versions that we're using in this illustration actually drew upon each other in a very, very, well, just say, symbolic way. You could say you just had a conversation with each other, and one of you said, I'm going to ask him the question, but I'm going to raise my left hand. You ask him the question and raise your right
Okay.
hand, okay?
All right.
So you do already do that, but you don't have to know you're doing it.
I see. So when sometimes I know when I'm in a environment where like there's a choice, different choices, and
Yes.
I know the outcome somehow. So does this
Yes.
mean that I actually communicated with my other self that already took
What
that
it means
choice?
is you became the other self. You
I
shifted your
see.
consciousness to then see through
Okay.
the eyes of the other self, which doesn't negate the self that was there. It's just no longer your focus.
I see. So I kind of peeked through the eyes of the other me, and
And you may have actually stayed on that path.
I see. And
See, the idea is that you are changing billions of times per second.
Mhm.
And the idea is that what you consider to be a kind of very linear path is actually like this. You're changing to different versions and different parallel realities all the time, but allowing yourself to make sense out of it linearly because that's the way it is representative of the path that you desire for what it is you need to experience. And so it seems linear to you, but it's actually all over the map.
Let's see. So when I'm considering choices, I basically go back and forth between different versions of and
Yes.
focuses.
And
Okay.
when you act on things and make decisions, that's when you really crystallize
I
it.
see. I see. Makes sense.
Yes, I know. Again, that's why I said it.
Thank you. Um, the question.
One more.
Yes, the last one. Yes. Um, this unexplainable fears, and there was an example: fear of flying. Somebody had a fear of flying, and they found that the reason was another incarnation was a pilot, and shot down during a war.
Yes, we understand. But again, it's not because they actually were that person. You can create the experience as if you were that person. But the way it's happening is you're simply making a cross connection from one present to another present experience, and you are drawing upon that experience to aid and assist you in the theme you chose to explore in this life. And because you are experiencing that connection from a linear space-time perspective, you translate that present connection as a memory.
I see. But going back to the discussion about negative beliefs,
Yes.
it's not for that person, for that particular physical focus. It's not a belief per se because it's an experience that is related to from another incarnation. So,
Yes, but your beliefs are going to determine which connections you make to draw upon.
okay, so you're saying in this case, to get rid of that kind of fear, I have to go
You
to.
have to find out how the negative belief may be serving you to have it, understand the reason you are using it, and then realize that maybe you can understand the same things from a more positive perspective and let the negative connection go.
So the nature of the belief is my connection to that experience during
The
war.
nature of your belief determines and filters the nature of the connection, yes.
Okay, so I see. There is something in my belief that actually directs my or like exchange of where I draw information
Well, the
into
higher
that.
mind will coordinate that, but your physical mind will interpret and filter the information in whatever way, shape, or form is representative of the strongest beliefs within the physical mind, even though the higher mind may be making the connections for you.
Okay. All
Does
right.
that help?
Yes. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Hi, Bashar.
And a you good day.
Okay, first question is, can you explain why do certain souls come in to experience really difficult circumstances? Like, for example, animals who are born in slaughterhouses, people who
There
come
can
in.
be as many reasons as there are individuals. You have to look at it on a case by case basis. But to give you a generality, if it is recognized that there are many people expressing the idea of negative beliefs, fear based beliefs, then someone willing to have the compassion, the power, and the strength to act as an example of what the resultant consequences are of those fear-based beliefs may be willing to do so, to act as a demonstration, so that by seeing demonstration after demonstration after demonstration of the negative consequences of negative beliefs, you might actually finally get tired of operating on that level, and therefore that being has done you a service of bringing it to your attention and allowing you to make a change.
Great.
That's how powerful and how loving those beings can be, because they know they are eternal. You understand?
Yeah. That helps a lot.
All right.
The other question is, when you were talking about contraction,
Yes.
well, it kind of goes into what I was just talking about.
Yes.
How do you help uh on a planetary level when you see such disparity or things like
By
fear-based?
acting on your highest excitement,
Mm-hmm.
being the being that you prefer to be, taking the actions that are representative of the kind of behavior and actions that a being like that would take to lock in the commitment to demonstrate that you are, in fact, operating on that level, and then being a living example to others by sharing your perspective without any insistence that they must agree with it. That's how.
Okay, great.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Does that help?
That helps.
All right.
Last question. I always feel like I'm an alien since I was a kid. I just want to know
Gee,
if I
me
am.
too. What a coincidence. We have something in common.
Is that just
This is a
feeling?
common symptom that many of you are now beginning to experience because you're opening up more consciously to other simultaneous connections and existences that the greater being you are also has. It doesn't mean you're not an Earth person, because that's where you were born as this person. But what you're opening up to is that the greater being also has simultaneous incarnations going on in different civilizations. And when you open up to that, you start feeling a little bit more alien than you normally would. But the idea is to use those connections and bring them down to Earth. Not use them to detach from Earth, but to bring those energies down to Earth and express them in whatever way is relevant for this particular adventure you're having, just as those beings are doing through their connections to you to draw upon your experiences on Earth to aid and assist them in the adventures they are having in other civilizations simultaneously.
Great.
Does that help?
Yes. And can I just ask one more?
One more last questions?
Two more, because I just
Two
asked
more
one.
last questions.
I just want to ask about my cat.
What about your
My
cat?
cat an alien too?
Did you understand how we just explained this to you?
I did.
You do understand that cats can see interdimensionally, yes?
Yep.
Well, if you want to say that that makes them a little bit alien to you, then of course, because they are another species.
I see.
But they are terrestrial aliens. Yes?
Yes.
All
Then,
right.
in essence, is everybody an alien then? If you are having parallel connections?
Everyone has those connections, but you are a human having those alien connections. Does that make sense?
Yep.
It's both. It's this and that, not this or that.
Gotcha.
Make sense?
Yep.
So this dovetails into the common question that many of you asked, where do I come from, Bashar? If you're a human asking us this question, you come from Earth. So the real question is actually, what other connections might I have to other places simultaneously with this one? That's the actual understanding of what's going on. Where do I come from misses the point. Make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Does that help you?
Yes.
You have any more last questions?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.